So, One Night in Miami, directorial debut for Regina King, a play originally made by Kemp Powers, starring Kingsley Ben-Adir, Leslie Odom Jr., Eli Gorey, and Aldous Hodge. There is so much that I'd like to say about this film, and I really want to highlight the conversation, the central conversation between Kingsley Ben-Adir's Malcolm X and Leslie Odom Jr.'s Sam Cooke, because there's something so prominent about it and something so relevant to today's world that it kind of makes sense to me that Regina King would want to make this film. And obviously she couldn't predict everything that happened in 2020, but obviously with the main things that happened there, it just boosts that to a different level. And it's a really great film, what would have been a really great stage show that just asked that perfect question of what if these four men had ever sat down in a motel room for one night and discussed their positions in the civil rights movement. There's parts of it you kind of don't think. Obviously, we all know about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr., and I guess a lot with Muhammad Ali as well. But here we get to see it all through a different lens, and I think draws on qualities that are very relevant to what we're seeing at the moment. And I mean this particularly with Black Lives Matter. We will stand for Black Lives Matter. We will continuously say that Black Lives Matter. But then there are people that go, oh, but it's just a political organization. And I think, well, no, that's the difference between Black Lives Matter and Black Lives Matter. And I think this really is highlighted in Malcolm X and Sam Cooke in this film, in what they discuss, and how Malcolm X is trying to say to Sam Cooke, it all matters and you need to find a role in it. And Sam Cooke's like, yeah, but I don't want that role in it. I don't want to be on the front lines like you are, being overly political and so on and so forth, and causing a division, when in fact I can work it in my own way that benefits me. And Malcolm's just kind of like, okay, but it's not about just benefiting you, it's about what you can do and how you can use your role and how you can use your position and your platform to say something bigger and say something deeper. And I think 2020 really highlighted those roles, and also really highlighted that it's not just up to black people and other people who suffer racism to get rid of it, but also people, also white people as well, who for most of history as a whole have been the perpetrators of racism and systemic racism in this society, and how now actually they have a prominent role in dismantling it. And it's so great that 2020 has brought that about, and so many people now are also that, where anti-racists are now anti-racist, or that didn't like racism and now like, nope, we got to be anti. I'm going to say the character of Malcolm X in this because obviously it's a fictional film, it's a fictional idea that these guys met. And I think what's really nice is how he is pushing Sam Cooke to find really what his role is and find really what his voice can be. It speaks a lot to me because, I have this channel where I'm trying to push the positives on diversity and representation, but I'm such like in a little small corner of YouTube that you're just kind of somewhat agreeing with Malcolm X, and that Sam Cooke has this position, he has this platform, he can make things better, and he's almost sort of choosing not to. And that's not to say that he has to, but if you do believe in it and if you do want the betterment of mankind, then if you have that position, you can use it. And Malcolm X really highlights it out when he points out Bob Dylan's single and says, look, Bob Dylan's doing it. Why aren't you doing it? You can do it. You have the same position as Bob in which to do it. That final sequence of that film when he's singing Change Gone Come kind of gave Sam Cooke that power to actually really become what he needed to be. And again, this is all within the context of the film. In between watching the film and recording this video, I've not sat down to discover exactly Sam Cooke's real life journey, because I want to talk about what this film does, because this is another important thing, is that so many people get annoyed with films that talk about socio-political things, or films that are meant to be set in a fantasy setting and talk about real world social political things. But it's kind of really important that sometimes film does do that. I also kind of feel that it doesn't necessarily need to be, no, but I want that from that film and then that film over there can do that. Films like One Night in Miami might not always reach the larger audience that something like Star Wars or a Marvel will reach. And so when those films hit it, it's really nice. But we still need these films like One Night in Miami because they will hit it in a different way. They have the room to really go deep and far into it. I hope this film does well in the awards season. I really do. I hope that it can pick up somewhere, because it kind of deserves it. It kind of just needs to find its place more within a mainstream role. The awards season can put it in a position where more people will get to see and maybe pick up on what I picked up on. I wonder as to what you picked up on watching it. Let me know in the comment section down below. If you would like to catch more content on the channel, I have a whole playlist here talking about how, why, and who is improving diversity and representation. And if you want to check out other videos, I'm going to put a mystery video right here. And make sure you subscribe, turn on your bell notification. Till next time, Hakuna MaChatter.